before we get started, let me show you something real quick. Look at this. You see how smooth that is? It's like absolute perfection. What's going on, all you beautiful people? Thanks for joining me for yet another video. Today we're talking about a knife that is very special to me. Before we jump into it, actually, think back at the time that you bought your most expensive knife. For me, I wouldn't spend more than $50 on a knife. I bought a Kershaw Clash. That was my first expensive knife. It was 50 bucks. And then I started researching, and then people started telling me to pick up a special knife. It was on Amazon at the time. $250. Felt a little anxious. I was a little nervous. I was a little scared because, like, what if I didn't like it? At the time, I didn't even know the EDC community had a secondary market. So I bought it. And that knife was this one right here. It was the pro-tech-Ferrum Forge collab Mordax. And I remember handling this knife for the first time and thinking, oh my God, this is what high quality feels like. This must be like a pinnacle design. And I made a stupid choice, put a clown mask on my face because I sold it. I sold it 2 years ago thinking that I could always just pick up another one. And unfortunately, that was not the case. They removed it from Amazon, and I could never find this knife again until recently when they started re-releasing them, now in Magnacut. So today, we're talking about the Blade Show exclusive pro-techmordax. So first things first, let's knock some specs out of the way. For the pro-techmordax, we have a aluminum handle. Now for Blade Show Texas, they did this really cool honeycomb milling on both sides. And something that I thought was really awesome was that where the clip touches the handle, there's a little spot there that doesn't have that milling, which I thought was a very nice touch. Now, overall length, we're looking at 8.1 inches. We got a blade length of 3.5 inches, cutting edge of 3.1 inches, and the blade itself is a DLC-coated Magnacut drop point blade. We have the mosaic push button that is exclusive to this knife only, and it is just an absolute beauty. So what drew me to the Mordax was, number one, it was the biggest knife that I had ever purchased at the time. I never really saw myself carrying something like this, but it is so slim, has medium-ish weight, that it didn't really fill up too much space in the pocket. It didn't feel like I was carrying a brick. The second thing that I really enjoyed about the Mordax was that finger choil. It allows you to really choke up on that blade, and it is perfect for any heavy use task. As many of you guys know, I don't heavy use a lot of my knives. I don't heavy use most of my knives, actually. But I found this to be super comfortable whenever I do have to break down boxes or cut into something that requires just a little bit more strength. Now, back when I bought my first one, a detail that I kind of noticed when I purchased this one, they used to have the Ferrum Forge logo right there by the flipper tab. And I noticed that these don't. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I couldn't find any information on it. So if you guys do know why the Ferrum Forge logo was removed, let me know down in the comments. Another small detail that I noticed is that the flipper tab has a little bit of jimping on it, and I don't remember the previous flipper tab having that, which I thought was a really nice touch. With the pro-techmordax, it's kind of like a light switch. You don't really push into it, but you just grab your finger, sit it at the top there, and flick it downwards, and it deploys. The other thing is, the pro-techmordax has the best action ever, and it is mainly because it is a button lock knife, and I feel like it's kind of hard to mess that up. But for its size, it's just guillotine. As soon as you click that button, that knife just comes right on down, which is really fun. Fidget factor is one of those things that I feel like most knife people really enjoy, because if you work at a desk job like me, this is pretty much what you're doing 90% of your time. You actually shouldn't be doing that. You should be working. But I mean, hey, what can we do? In the pocket, it carries fairly well. You do have what I would consider a deep carry pocket clip in a way, but unfortunately the Mordax has this little tip at the top here that ends up showing up a little bit more. So it's kind of deep carry, but really not deep carry, if that makes sense. The milling, the honeycomb milling that they did on this particular model gives it a little bit of grip, but not as much grip as, say, something like maybe a G10 that has a little bit more of like that rugged feeling, or maybe even like a micarta, for example. But honestly, I don't see this knife slipping out of my hands personally, so I don't necessarily I mean, I think the milling on the titanium handles is more so just a design thing versus a like, oh man, I needed that much more grip. Overall, even if you don't choke up on that finger choil, it is very, very comfortable. The pocket clip doesn't seem to be a hot spot for me. I don't know if it is for any other people, but overall, it's just a very comfortable knife. For me, the pro-tech Mordax is one of those pinnacle designs. When somebody asks what's the best sub $300 knife, especially now in Magnacut steel, I don't think it can get any better than this. I think even if you're a brand new knife enthusiast looking to get your first big budget knife between the pro-tech Mordax or the Malibu, there really is no wrong choice. It just kind of depends on maybe what you like more aesthetically. For me, the pro-tech Mordax just has a sleeker profile, and I'm more of a fan of a drop point blade on it versus the Wharncliffe blade that the Malibu has. I also found that the pro-tech Mordax is just a little more ergonomic. If you do plan on hard using it, that finger choil at the top there does allow you to choke up, so it is just a little bit more on the ergonomic side. But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do you own a pro-tech Mordax? If you do, let me know which variant you have down in the comments. And I'm just really happy to get this knife back in my hands. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of this video down below as well, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.